cosplay in the kitchen. So named because I'm in a kitchen. It's not because I make cosplays in here, I cook them up or anything clever like that. But what I thought I could do is review some of the things that I bought at Galaxy's Edge. Because some of these things I haven't seen much about online. There's some quite unusual things that you can find there. And I'm going to start today with one of my favourite sort of oddities that I found there for strange things that they decided to make, which is Luke Skywalker's cloak from the start of Return of the Jedi. So they've done all the sort of Jedi tunics or the Jedi robes for quite a while. When I was there, I found instead they had Luke's robe, which he wears for all of about 3 minutes in Return of the Jedi. So it's a bit of an interesting choice for them to make. But if you're like me and a huge fan of Return of the Jedi, always been a huge fan of Luke's costume in those films, more so than the traditional Jedi, I was very excited to see it and I decided to pick it up. So I thought I would do a quick review of how that looks and what you get. Here is the cloak, as you get it. Now, the first thing you might notice about it, particularly if I hold it up to the light, you'll notice it is very slightly see-through, which you might think is slightly disappointing for an expensive costume piece, but actually that's accurate. If you look in the film, that is how it looks. His cloak is very slightly transparent, so that actually is quite a good thing for it to be. It's worth saying that cost-wise, this isn't cheap. So it was $99. So that's $99 for the robe. I don't actually know how much the standard Jedi cloak is because they didn't have them while I was there. They had sold out. But the Jedi tunics are about $60. So $100 just for the cloak can seem a little bit steep, but it is very nicely made. So the very first thing I want to highlight about it is the material you've got. So you can see this material here. It is a sort of polyester blend, I believe, but it's made to replicate that heavy wool look of Luke's cloak in the film. And it does a very, very good job of doing that. On the inside is smooth. It's not lined, but it creates the illusion of being lined because it's smooth. You don't really see the inside when wearing it, so that doesn't really matter. But it does make it a bit more comfortable. But what is nice is they've double-sided the hood, because he lowers the hood, and in the film when you see the inside of the hood it's the same material as the outside, so they've replicated that. It comes with one single clasp. Now if there's any flaw in this, it comes with a little clasp. I always call these Mickey Mouse clasps because they look like little Mickeys, which you go through there, and the flaw in this is that this is actually still fairly weighty, and it is a lot of weight on that connection. And I found after having it hung up for a little while that this clasp again came off and I had to sew it back on stronger. When you buy the cloak, it does come with 2 bits of plastic attached here, plastic loops, that you can put around a coat hanger to take a bit of the weight, but I do believe they're designed to be removed because they come off with a very slightest bit of force, and obviously you don't want 2 bits of transparent plastic hanging out of the back. Now I'll show you what it looks like when you put it on. So it's very easy to go on. And there you have it. And the thing that's really nice about this cloak is the way it hangs. So it's actually quite a particular look to get, which is that when Luke wears it, it covers up the majority of his body. And you've also got the hood. You can put the hood up as well. It's a nice big hood. So you can kind of get the impression of how it kind of covers up who he is, because he enters very, mysteriously. Holds his hands like that and you begin to see bits of the costume, but for the most part, covers everything up, which is very, very nice. It's very effective. Of course, if you are doing the Luke Skywalker costume, it does have the unfortunate side effect that it hides the majority of your costume under the cloak, but it is nicely effective. You can also lower the hood here. If there's one thing that I'm not super keen on, it's the clasp. Because of the weight on the clasp, you actually see the metal clasp a little bit, which you shouldn't really. It's got this little tab here to try and cover it, but it doesn't entirely work. So when you're looking at the cloak, you can see the clasp slightly, but that's fine. At the moment, they only made these in brown, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity, because as Star Wars fans know, Luke returns in The Mandalorian except in The Mandalorian he's wearing a very similar cloak, except this time it's black. Given that they sell Jedi and Sith versions of everything, I'm very surprised that they haven't done a black one of these, which would technically be from The Mandalorian, but also ideal if you wanted to do, a Sith with a cape instead of a cloak. I also quite like this one because it's very versatile. You can use it for a lot of different kind of costumes. It would work very well for any kind of fantasy-based costume, any medieval era costume, even Lord of the Rings. I know certain people have said that I look like a hobbit when I'm wearing it, so I think it would work really well for that. So yeah, I think it's very, very good. You could also use it for a traditional Jedi. Although it's not a classic Jedi tunic and cloak as you see in the films, I think it would work fine if you would put it over the Jedi tunic to create your own version of the Jedi. When it comes to Galaxy's Edge, I did this for the Not So Scary Halloween party and found it worked really well. I bought the Sith tunic, the black Sith tunic, put it on underneath this, and it still creates that Luke Skywalker look because he does wear a tunic over his classic shirt in Return of the Jedi, Star of Return of the Jedi. So it's a good way to do a costume. So I was quite impressed by this overall. I think the texture is brilliant. I think the fabric's brilliant. I think it falls and hangs and looks exactly like it does in the movie. It's a great costume piece. It is a little bit pricey, but I think it's quite large for what you get. In terms of what this is a size large, and I'm about 5'10", 5'11", to give you an idea of sizing, and I'd say reasonably medium to large build. So, and it fits me pretty much perfectly. So yeah, that's my review of this cloak, giving you some information, letting you know that it's available. I don't know how long it'll be around for, because it does seem one of their slightly more obscure items for them to make. But I really like it. I think it's really cool, and it's sure to make it into my regular cosplay rotation as a costume I wear. Thanks.